Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And today we are going to continue our conversation on our character farming guide. So in my first video, I went through a bunch of characters like Leia, Anakin, Qui-Gon Jinn, and said, get these characters, they are amazing. You should have them in your inventory just for the heck of it. They will be useful at one point or another. And I had some people who made comments and said, awesome, those are great characters, but who should I farm for the Yoda event? Who should I farm for the Empire event so I can get some potency mods? What Jawas should I look into? And there's another aspect of this game. So yes, we want characters that are absolutely amazing, that we can use for many things. However, with the way this game is progressing, it is more and more important to have characters that fit certain affiliations or synergies, however you like to call it, so you can compete at the mod challenge table, as well as some other random events. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead, talk about each of these affiliations here, and kind of tell you what characters you should farm if you have the wiggle room, and tell you what characters you're stuck farming if you want to compete with them, because some of them have a very limited choice, and you have to farm, in some cases, for example, First Order and Resistance, and Jawas, you have to farm all the characters if you want to compete at the Tier 3 level of the event. So let's go ahead, talk about the easiest one to compete in and to farm, which is the Jedi. So Jedi, we have bundles and bundles of Jedi. Just in the past month or so, or 2 months, we've had two amazing Jedi get added, Aayla Secura and Anakin Skywalker. Anakin got added he got his rework not too long ago, and he is just absolutely amazing. I'm working on him, soon to have him at 6 stars. So I would suggest, if you need a Jedi, Anakin Skywalker is an amazing choice. His rework is definitely awesome. He does take a while to farm, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. The next character you should look into is Aayla Secura. So she was added as free to play about 2 weeks ago, and she is an amazing Jedi. She's a really good hitter. She has a lot of health, a lot of protection. She counterattacks, she's stunned. So another great person to look into. I wish these characters were out when I was competing in the Yoda event, because they are just absolutely amazing. So definitely the two Jedi that come to mind right away when someone mentions who should I farm with Jedi. The good news is, as you're farming Aayla Secura and Anakin Skywalker, you can take the Cantina currency that you earn and spend it on Qui-Gon Jinn, and that is not a waste of time nor investment, because Qui-Gon Jinn, if you didn't notice from my earlier videos, especially the previous one, he is definitely my #1 person in this area to farm, because he is an awesome Jedi. He's used for almost everything in this game, so definitely get him as well if you're looking to compete for the defense mods at the mod challenge table, or even the Yoda event. And then your last 2 slots are definitely up in the air. Luminara, very easy to farm. She's in Galactic War. Doesn't take too long to get her at all. She's a decent character. She definitely will help you out in Galactic War, help you out in those light side battles, Cantina battles. But yeah, she's not that critical, and you do have some other areas where you can fill in, but I definitely do recommend get Luminara, especially for those who are starting. She's definitely a good character to get from the get-go, because she will help you move along this game quite nicely. And the last slot, really up to you. If you're mainly thinking about the Yoda event in terms of Jedi, you might want to look into getting Ahsoka maybe. If you're looking for a really fast farm, Eth Koth, even though he's pretty bad, he's just a really easy farm to get, not too hard to gear up. I farmed him to 7 stars because I needed a 5th Jedi, and there weren't really too many options out there that were good. So you can look into getting Eth Koth. Old Ben, he's an amazing character in all the other aspects of the game, but I mean, he will do perfectly fine if you want to compete for the defense mods, but if you want to compete for the Yoda event, Old Ben is actually very bad. His special ability, Mind Tricks, does not work on Yoda. Every time I used it, Yoda would always resist, get turn meter, kill Old Ben, steal Old Ben's buffs that he gives to all of my teammates, and then he just completely destroys my team. So Old Ben was really dead weight and caused more problems than good, actually, for me. So Yoda event, don't do it. Everything else, definitely do it. He's awesome for Arena, as a lot of you know. So many good things going on for him there. So yeah, those are pretty much my my Jedi recommendations. but you definitely should look into Anakin, Aayla Secura, Qui-Gon Jinn, and you know what? You should have Luminara at least. She's one of those you have to farm her because she's definitely needed in a lot of aspects. All right, so moving on, we have Jawas, and the problem is you have no wiggle room. So if you want those critical damage mods for your droids, for raid, the problem is that there are not too many of them, and some of them are very hard to farm. Example, Jawa Engineer. I've been farming the guy for a good 2, maybe 2.5 months. I feel like I want to say 3 months, and I just got him to 6 stars. But he is definitely a useful Jawa to farm, especially if you have droids. He's amazing to get. Chief Nebbit. I just got him not too long ago, and I got him. Not that Jawa. They all look the same. Where are you, buddy? Jawa. Chief Nebbit. Here we go. So he's going to be a great tank for droids, and he's not that bad to farm. So 2 characters, if you need Jawas, I would say if you get these 2 Jawas, they are definitely not going to be a waste of time. They are great characters from what I've seen. Even with Chief Nebbit at level 66, gear 7, he's a lot of fun. Already has 13,000 health, which is more than some tanks out there. Stormtrooper at gear 9, max star count and everything. I don't think he even has as much health as that. Let me check it out. Might be a little wrong there. So yeah, look, a maxed out Stormtrooper has just as much health as a very underlevel, undergeared, understarred Chief Nebbit. So point proven is that he's not going to be a bad farm. I mean, Stormtrooper's not the best character in the game for sure, but Chief Nebbit, being so low that he is, he'll definitely be a decent farm to go for. The rest are just, if you need Jawas, you're going to have to get Dacha, you're going to have to get Jawa, the normal one, and you're also going to have to get a Jawa Scavenger. And all those characters, they're not amazing, but they will be useful for getting your critical damage mods, and I think they'll be awesome for the General Grievous raid where pretty much everything you're battling is droids. So definitely look into it, especially if you want to be that person that might get ahead of the game come the new raid. Jawas are pretty awesome, but there's no wiggle room. You're going to have to get all 5 of them if you want to compete at the highest level tier here in Mod Challenge tables. Scoundrels. So we have the critical chance mods here, but we also have the Scoundrel event. And with the Scoundrel event that rolls out every week or two, there's a lot of credits, easy credits to get if you have those Scoundrels. I do not have that many Scoundrels. I only have, let me see, only got 4 Scoundrels, I believe. I have a Greedo. Yeah, I also have a 5th one. I have Greedo, but he's at like 2 stars, super underpowered, so he won't show up for this table. But so as you can see here, I definitely would recommend get Cad Bane for the Scoundrel event. Super easy to farm, and he's okay. He has his double attack, which could be awesome. He can stun, and he also has a dodge leader ability, which can come in handy. You don't see him too much because he's slow, and he's very underprotected, and he does not have a lot of health either. But definitely probably the easiest character to farm for the Scoundrel event. Another one that you should definitely get, like this is your to-do if you need some Scoundrels and a Rebel, would be to get Lando. So I do not even have Lando unlocked yet. You unlock him by going to the Cantina battles, and you can get him at the very first row, battle 1E. So very easy to farm, very low energy needed, and he's not that bad of a character either. Hits pretty well, has some cool abilities, and he's also going to be great for any Rebel type events as well, since he counts as a Scoundrel and a Rebel. So get him. So far we talked about, what was it, Cad Bane. We also talked about Lando. The next one, Greedo. Yeah, Greedo should definitely be someone on your list if you need a Scoundrel character. Very fast to farm, and he isn't all that bad. His kit is okay. I would never farm him if it wasn't for the Scoundrel event, but some of you guys really may need to look into that if you want to dominate the Mod Challenge table for it, or if you want to get the Scoundrel event taken care of. Chewbacca, a lot of people have Chewbacca already because that's one of the characters you start with, and he's also pretty good for the raid as well. He has turn meter control. I can have him at 5 stars if I promote him. He can remove 50% turn meter, so he'll be great for the raid. He's a decent tank, so he's not going to be too much of a waste of time. So another Scoundrel you should probably get, since he'll be pretty good at any type of Scoundrel event. And then your last slot, it's really up to you. You have options like Boba Fett, Newt Gunray, Dengar. If Dengar was easier to farm, I would say go get him because he seems pretty cool, but he's just really hard to farm. He just pops up in the guild store once in a blue moon. He's not even showing up now, but you have to worry about characters like Ray, people like me who want Jawa Engineer, people who want Ewok Elder, and then all of these awesome pieces of gear that are very expensive to get. So a lot of people don't have Dengar for many good reasons. If you want my honest opinion, I would say get Boba Fett, mainly because he's a very prominent character in the Star Wars galaxy, and even though he's not good in this game, I suspect that he might get a rework because a lot of people have been yearning for a rework. Boba Fett has a blaster that he doesn't even use, so I have a feeling they will give him a rework at some point. Maybe they'll have like a Jango Fett event one day, which would be really cool. So Boba Fett might be worth your time over the other optional characters. And Mob Enforcer, yeah, let's not even talk about them. Please don't waste your hard-earned money on Mob Enforcer. Boba Fett on this table is definitely the way to go for your last slot. So moving on. What else we got here? We got Rebels. So I mentioned a lot of these characters in my previous video in terms of the best characters you should farm. We talked about Leia. We talked about Stormtrooper Han, which I cannot speak highly enough about. He's just great as of now. And then we have Akbar, which he's okay for the phase 1 of the raid. So if you need a cleanser, go ahead and farm him because he's definitely easier than Ewok Elder and Rex. So you got him, and then yeah. So I have a little bit of everything, but the rest of my rebels are pretty lowly leveled. You have Luke Skywalker and Biggs. Those might be the last 2 rebels you should look into getting. Maybe instead of Luke Skywalker or Biggs, you get Hoth Rebel Scout. If you can get Lobot, he would actually be pretty cool. He has a lot of good droid synergies. I have seen him not too long ago in Arena. Someone was testing him out with a B2 Super Battle Droid. I didn't try it out because they weren't really that high up the rank, and my goal was to move up pretty fast. So he might be good if you can somehow farm him fast. He's a really hard farm. You only can get him in your hard light side battles. So might not be the best character to invest in because it will take a while. But Luke Skywalker and Biggs are not too bad. Biggs you can actually farm in Galactic War, so that might be the best bet if you're looking for a really fast purchase. So, but definitely Stormtrooper Han, Leia, Akbar, you should just have them because they are great overall characters, and they're all available in the same squad arena. So not that hard to farm either. And but the problem is you have to farm one at a time because it will take a while if you spread out your farming at once. So let's keep moving. Alright, so we got Rebels and Scoundrels and First Order. So like the problem and the demise of the Jawas, First Order characters you do not have that much room to play with. There's only 5 characters to choose from, and you need 5 characters to compete at the tier 3 level. So you have Phasma, so a lot of people have her, no worries there. You also have the Kylo Ren. He's not that amazing as of now. I'm surprised since there was like way back when there was an offer for like $100. You can get Kylo Ren and some other Force Awakens characters, and Kylo Ren isn't really that good. I haven't seen him in a very long time. But if you need some power mods or offense mods, I should say, you definitely need to go ahead and farm Kylo. He's cool as is, kind of like Boba Fett, where he's pretty prominent and an important character. He might get a rework at some point, but a lot of other characters before him are probably going to get some attention. Then you also have First Order TIE Pilot. So he was a really awesome character way back when. Now, with all the stuff that's going on, he's okay. He's able to compete, but I don't find him too threatening in Arena, but he will be a good person to have anyways. But just the thing is, he's another really hard character to farm. So it might be a long time before you can participate in the First Order event because they definitely do not have many characters, and they are some of the harder characters to farm in the game, like your First Order TIE Pilot. But then you also have First Order Stormtrooper. I would never farm him unless I needed the characters for this event, but you're gonna have to farm him as well. And then lastly, you have your First Order Officer, which you can kind of easily get inside of the Cantina store. So right over here. So another good character to look into if you're needing your First Order crew going. But other than that, I would never farm any of those characters except Phasma if it wasn't for that event. I'm not planning on doing it anytime soon, so I will be without high-level power mods, or I keep calling it power offense mods. So not a big deal for me. And getting close to the end here, we have 2 more affiliations. We have the Empire, which I have down to a science, as you guys know from my earlier videos, and my Resistance, which I do not have down to a science. I am flunking terribly right now. So let's go ahead and talk about the Empire. This is something I invested heavily in a couple months ago, thinking that an Empire event of some sort with the Emperor Palpatine would show up. Still haven't seen that day, but there have been a couple Empire events like this one and the Empire and Droids event where they have come in handy, but they haven't made me feel like I got my investment back on them. So I have virtually every Empire character at 7 stars except Veers, because he is hard to farm and I do not think he's worth it. He has a horrible kit and he's just a bad character as of now. All these other characters, I shouldn't say I have all of them at 7 stars. Darth Vader's at 6 stars heading to 7. But a lot of you guys will have Darth Vader at 5 stars, so check right there, especially for our senior players. But if you don't have Darth Vader, then you're kind of limited on options, and you're going to have to get almost all the other characters. So you will have to get Magma Trooper. He's not too bad. I mean, he's horrible damage, don't get me wrong. He's an easy farm, but really hard to gear up as well. He needs a ton of thermal detonators, like I'm not even kidding, tons of them. Needs a lot of gear, needs several scanners, needs a droid collar, so he definitely a lot of work. He is sometimes useful for the raid. Once you get some scanners on him, his thermal imploder works amazingly in terms of removing turn meter. Haven't seen anyone resist too often. So get him. Royal Guard, you guys don't even need me to talk about him. He's just awesome as of now, especially with the rework he got several months ago. You still see him in almost every lineup. Grand Moff Tarkin, super easy farm, not too hard to gear up, so you might want to look into him. He's not an amazing character, but he's not that bad. Once you gear him up, his potency is okay, and you're able to land things like turn meter reduction and offense down. So definitely check him out if you need some Empire characters. And then lastly, it's a coin flip. If you already have Vader, then you're kind of at a coin flip between Snowtrooper and Stormtrooper. And Snowtrooper is definitely the better character out of the two. I almost had my gear 10. I just kind of stopped farming, worrying about the gear because I'm not going to use him anytime soon, seriously. But he's definitely the better character to get out of those two, but he's definitely harder to farm. So another drawback right there. So, but if you don't care, if you have all the time in the world, focus on Snowtrooper. He actually hits pretty good. If you see some of my videos, he does some pretty good splash damage. And then you have your Stormtrooper lastly. And yeah, I kind of I mentioned him a bit earlier when I was comparing him to Nebet. He's just pretty bad. At gear 9, he only has 9,000 protection, 13,000 health. Defense is just absolutely horrible, even with having a whole entire Empire lineup. He just gets clobbered super easily. Only thing that's kind of neat is his attack, where he could sometimes hit over 9,000, but that's not too often, and most of the time he hits around like 2,000, 1,000, 3,000, so nothing spectacular. And he's easier to farm at least. There's a couple of hard battles, and then you also have your Cantina battle shipments. So another great and super easy farm to get. Yeah, if you have more questions about that, feel free to let me know. Empire characters, they are definitely underwhelming, and hopefully they get some attention soon, because their Empire characters, one of the cornerstone affiliations in the whole game. When you think of Star Wars, usually Darth Vader is the first one to come in mind, and he's not that good in this game. So who knows? I'm hoping that my payoff in investing will, it'll come up one day. And last thing we're going to talk about for today are the Resistance. And as I said, I am flunking in this category because I only have the 2 good Resistance characters, which are Rey, duh, obviously no need for explanation there, and Poe, because he was great in one of the previous metas. And other than that, I can't even do the first level here because yeah, there's a lot of other characters that I need, and the problem is there are only 5 characters. So if I want to ever get to tier 3, I will need 5 characters, and that's pretty much all they have is 5 Resistance characters. So you have Rey, Finn, which I've never seen him be popular since I was first starting in this game. You got Poe. A lot of people have him, and I mentioned in my previous video, he's a great person to farm. Probably your number 2 or 3 in terms of the shipments. And you got your Resistance pilot, which she's easy to farm. She's not that bad. I'm not going to see myself farming her because I have other obligations right now. And you got your Resistance Trooper. And besides the 1 month where they gave away shards for free, they're actually really hard to farm. Let me find them. Let's see. Somewhere, here we go. Yeah, very hard to farm. You only got the two hard battles, and that's it. So again, you're kind of in the same predicament like the First Order, where you need all 5 to compete at the last level, but you only have 5 characters, and of course, one of them is very hard to farm. So First Order has the problem with the First Order TIE Pilot, only able to farm here, and Resistance Trooper only able to farm with these 2 battles, so they will take a very long time. Unless you're, unless you're spending money to play the game, then no problem whatsoever there. So that kind of wraps it up. I mean, there are a lot of other characters you could look into, but honestly, those, the ones where you have leeway, like Empire, Jedis, Rebels, you have a lot of leeway, Scoundrels, you have a lot of leeway to choose from there, and I kind of want to give you the characters that are good, that can be used for other aspects of the game in some circumstances, and they're not a complete waste of time like the Mob Enforcer. I know you guys probably are wondering about raid characters. I have talked about raid characters many times in previous videos, but I'll just give it a quick rundown. If you need some good raid characters, look for Tebow, Ewok Elder, Qui-Gon Jinn, Fives, Rex, all that stuff. Some of those characters I mentioned earlier in this video when we're talking about affiliations like Chewbacca and Phasma, those are also great characters to go into. So yeah, look for one of my previous videos if you want to learn more about raid characters. I will be releasing a Phase 4 video finally with some really good gameplay. It's going to have pretty much those characters I mentioned: Tebow, Ewok Elder, Qui-Gon Jinn, Fives, and Rex. It's coming from my buddy in my guild who showed us some gameplay earlier with the previous video. So that's going to be my next video coming out, so we will talk about raid characters more in depth. But if you have any questions about the characters we broke down today, the synergies, the affiliations, or if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll talk about this later. Peace out.